Lustif, The Butterly Dream. Part 1. Recently, it had become the norm for Subaru to be awoken by the blinding sunlight on his eyelids. "Come on now, it's morning! Rise and shine, Your Majesty!" He considered himself a morning person, but this sort of awakening made it all but impossible for him to be instantly awake and alert. The sunlight beckoned his mind from the world of sleep, albeit slowly. He had been sleeping particularly deeply recently. Perhaps it was to be expected. After all, he had been pushing both his mind and body well beyond their limits during the day. Such deep slumber was proof that his days were fulfilling. "You really, really need to wake up now. Wake up!" "Shut up!" "Yeah!" The owner of that voice persisted in trying to wake Subaru, cruelly ignoring how comfortably he was curled up in the bed. She was close enough that they could share the same breath, close enough for him to take his revenge by grabbing her and holding her close. She let out a cry, like a frog being stepped on, as she was dragged into the bed with him. It was still the time of year when the mornings were unpleasantly chilly, so another person's body heat was just the thing to warm him up. "Ah, I've been revived," he said. "It would be nice to just drift back to sleep while we're like this. Don't you think so?" "Oomph. Well, I'm not opposed." Her voice had been so full of purpose and vigor just seconds before, but she wavered, swayed by Subaru's sweet words. Though they had known one another for a long time, when he treated her sweetly, her softer, childish side peeked through her normally serious facade. That part of her was irresistibly lovely. He was bringing out such a side for selfish reasons, though. "There's a good girl. It's time for a morning makeout session, don't you think?" "But the Duchess is in charge of making breakfast this morning. Won't she be angry?" "Ugh, I forgot about that." After being reminded, Subaru's enthusiasm sank. Surrendering to the siren call of sleep again will carry dire consequences. Resigning himself, he gave the girl in his arms one last tight squeeze before throwing the blankets off. "Guess we gotta get up now. Oh shit, it's a pretty nice morning." Subaru stretched, bouncing on the bed springs. He looked down at the girl, still sprawled on the bed he had pulled her into. Hey, you're all disheveled. It's really sexy. Aren't you always saying that girls shouldn't be so immodest, Petra?" Petra Lite, now old enough that her maid uniform suited her quite nicely, stuck her tongue out and smiled sweetly as she whispered, "It's all right. I can let my guard down in front of you, my liege. You and you alone." He reached out a hand, pulling her from the bed. "Well then, let's head to the dining room. Everyone is probably already there." Petra smiled and nodded. She rose from the bed, still holding his hand. "Yes, let's go," she said. The two of them walked leisurely through the red-carpeted hallways of the royal castle of Lugunica, hand in hand.